Welcome to Slay, the podcast where we dive into all aspects of female health, fitness, and life. I'm your host, Louise Hazel, and in today's episode, we're going to be exploring the importance of rest. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, the concept of rest can sometimes seem elusive, overshadowed by the constant demands of work, family, and other obligations. But what if I told you that embracing rest is not only essential, but also a transformative for our physical, mental, and emotional health? Now, rest isn't just about taking breaks. It can also be about cultivating a supportive community and connecting with other like-minded individuals. Today, we're going to meet a man who has created an event series that spans across Los Angeles and now overseas, and highlights the importance of taking a rest day. Are you feeling burnt out, overwhelmed? Do you feel like you just need a day off? A day to be celebrated, a day to be loved, a day to be cooked for? Then listen up, because this episode is for you. Joining me today to discuss this topic is one of my favourite neighbours. It's founder of Black Excellence Brunch, Trell Thomas.
Hey,
Trell.
what's up?
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my God, thank you for having me in this beautiful space. I'm excited to be here.
Bless you, what an honour. Now, Trell, we know each other because we've been lived in the same, residence for a good few years now. But you've recently moved out, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I missed you though.
I know, same. I've got to come. You've obviously, first time you bought your own place, condo?
Yes, I bought a condo. First time home buyer, learning on the fly, but super excited. And I'm a homeowner in Los Angeles.
I know.
Who would have thought? Who would have known?
High five to that. It's not an easy achievement.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about, obviously, everything that you've been up to. And more importantly, Black Excellence Brunch, which you founded in 2018. For those who don't know or haven't, heard of it before, give us a breakdown as to what the Black Excellence Brunch is all about and how it came to be in existence.
Sure. Black Excellence Brunch is my rendition of Sunday dinner. I'm from South Carolina. In South Carolina is a big tradition, the tradition of Sunday dinner, where you go to church, and then after church, we were in church all the time. My mom was my Sunday school teacher. She was my choir director. She was my vacation Bible school teacher.
I was going to say, you definitely sang. I
definitely was on all the things. But after church on Sunday, you would come home, and we would have Sunday dinner, which is this big feast. It's like this celebration. It was almost like having Thanksgiving dinner every Sunday.
Wow.
My mom would cook for everyone. It would be the neighbors and friends and church members. And it was just one of the first places I really got to see and feel the joy of being a Black person. There was so much love in the room. It was inspiring. It was uplifting. And it was all going down in my home every Sunday. And Black Excellence Brunch is my rendition of that. It's my version of Sunday dinner. It's my way of giving people that love that I felt in my mom's home growing up.
Now I have to ask a couple of questions.
Sure.
One, what was on the menu in South Carolina?
Oh my gosh.
Tell me. But also don't go too deep because I'm feeling kind of hungry.
Everything. It was everything. My mom would start cooking the night before. So the menu really varied. There were a few things that were staples, right? Like mac and cheese, some sort of rice. I loved when she would do yellow rice, she would do white rice, potato salad, fried chicken. Those were things that were staples. And then every now and again, there would be things like, oh, okay, that's new, that's different, that's nice. She would introduce version of a pot roast, or like she would do something different with the chicken. It would be like smothered chicken or, things like that. But it was just like your traditional soul food.
Now, would she allow other people to bring things, or was she like the matriarch? Was she like, no, I got the food? Because in my household, my Auntie Debbie, whenever there was a birthday, like whatever it was, whatever family function, she was like, I got the curry. And it's like anyone else could do whatever, but she's not going to let anyone mess up the curry. Like, was she really particular about the food, or did the community kind of contribute?
My mom cooked mostly everything. There would be people that brought things and that you knew that they were good at.
Yeah.
Like my aunt made the most amazing banana pudding, and we would almost like call her, like, "Are you coming tomorrow?"
What's it called? Banana pudding?
Banana pudding.
Oh, banana pudding. I thought you said banana pudding.
No,
like,
banana pudding she would make, and like there were people that made different things and they would bring by, but it wasn't like a potluck style. Like my mom, like 80% of the menu my mom cooked.
Got you. She was keeping it tight.
Yeah, she was definitely keeping it tight. But she wasn't like the type that's like, you can't cook, it was just more so people trusted her food and they really liked it.
Be real though, was anyone banned from cooking? Was anyone like, no, Shirley, we had that last time, it didn't work?
That's like a big, no, no, I wouldn't say. Honestly, I will say my sister, my older sister, we would just be like, hey, you doing the desserts, right? Like, that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that, but she wasn't banned. Nobody was really banned.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, was there a memory from your Sunday dinners at home that really sticks with you? Was there like an interaction, a conversation that you had that just still sits with you and you carry with you till this day? Is there one particular memory?
Yeah, I think the memories of my mom and her sisters and like and her brothers and just talking about, they would tell the same stories. My mom, like, she had 12 siblings. And so they would, I have a very big family, and I just remember the laughter. Like they would laugh and they would tell, and you've heard the story over and over and over again, but it was always like the first time hearing it, and there was always so much joy involved in like listening. And then I think for me, I was always very curious and very inquisitive. So memories for me was when I would get a chance to talk to somebody that was older and like just question them. And they would give me all of this advice and like they would tell me these stories. And I just remember that because I thought like, wow, like this is so cool. Like I'm learning so much. So I think just learning from older people and just the laughter, like I can still hear it,
Yeah. So what does it mean to you to be able to bring that now to other people? And like, I've got so many questions, like, how do you curate the list? Like, first and foremost, what does it mean to be able to bring that and do that for other people now?
Honestly, it means so much to me. And I didn't even realize that I was doing it because a couple of things. Like I haven't lived in South Carolina in like 15 years at this point. And I honestly was just missing that feeling myself. And so in a way, I was trying to give myself those feelings, right? And we have so many shared experiences growing up, like as Black people. I don't know if you've ever been on like social media and somebody like will share something that they did. I'm like, wow, you did that. That was your experience too. I think I was watching Kev on stage the other day, and he was talking about how like at barbecues, like the kids were kind of like you could get hot dogs, hamburgers, but you weren't like getting ribs on your plate as a kid. And that was like
that was just for the adults.
Yeah, that was for the adults, and it's just so fun. So there's so many shared experiences, and in doing this and trying to bring those feelings and memories and that love back into my life, I brought it to other people as well. But I will say that there was also a part of it that was very intentional. At the time that in 2017, 2018, when I really started doing it in the way that people see it now, there was so much happening in the world, and it was so heavy for Black people.
What was going on?
It felt like every time I looked at the news or was on social media, there was another instance of a Black person being murdered.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do. I was feeling very heavy around it. And so this was a way, and my way to bring joy to people, to bring us to a space where we're safe, where we're celebrated, where we're loved, where we're appreciated. And that was, a part of what I was trying to do in combination with trying to also heal myself, in the process.
Now, I was reading this article in the Harvard Business Review, and it's by a number of women, female contributors. It says, give Black employees time to rest and recover. And it mentions some of the things that you were talking about. This was written in 2021. And one of the standout quotes in it says, Black employees are exhausted. And it basically says that they're depleted because of two deadly and intertwined pandemics, COVID-19, because that was obviously what we were experiencing, and structural and systemic racism. They said that Black people are more likely to lose jobs, be hospitalized, obviously from the pandemic that was going on at the time. But then they also drew upon the brutalization that was coming from policing. which is something that can even, in 2020 and 2021, when we were out protesting, in the name of George Floyd, those events are still happening today, aren't they?
It's sad to say, yes. And rest is so important. And we don't always give ourselves permission to rest because we have to be like ahead of the curve. We have to be like better than the best. We have to, so we don't really give ourselves that kind of grace to take that time. And also some of it is just in our DNA. You know what I mean? Like it is the trauma of like not having the chance to do any of those things that are just ingrained in us on a cellular level.
Yeah.
That we have to really be conscious of and like work through. So like for me, I found that I didn't feel like I was always doing something. I had to be doing something. I had to be perfect at every single thing. And that is exhausting.
Where do you think that perfectionism comes from? And also, have you acknowledged or have you noticed anything from like that you feel like you've inherited, work ethic wise, focus wise, drive wise, that has come from kind of like generational trauma?
Yeah.
That's come forward into this life, into present day for you? And if so, what is that?
My grandmother was a sharecropper. My mother was a seamstress, and my father was a brick mason. So all I saw like was Black people working and like sun up to sundown, kind of working. And so that was all that I saw every single day, like going, wait from sun up to sundown, right? And then I grew up in a very small town called Cassett, South Carolina, Cassatt, for
Shout
anybody
out.
that wants to look and see if they can find it on the map. But and I often grew up the only Black person in anything that I was doing.
Right.
Like my town was really small. It was like very few and far in between like Black people, especially Black people that were like excelling, right? So I was the only Black person in Beta Club. I was the only Black person in the Honor Society. I was the only Black person. And people made it very known that I also, not only was I the only person, but I really wasn't welcomed in those spaces.
Okay.
Right?
What were you facing like on a daily basis? What
I
were the
remember
struggles?
my guidance counselor. I was so excited because I learned about like, you're supposed to apply to college and it's time to apply to college. And a friend of mine, or something I saw on TV, I think it was actually. And I went to him and I was like, okay, hey, I'm super excited. I want to apply this school and this school and this school. And he was like, why don't you just get a job and help your parents? Like, why don't you just get a job at McDonald's or something to help your parents?
Wow.
And that, like, I didn't even know how to receive that. Like, nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. I worked at McDonald's, but I didn't see that as like my, like, this is what I'm going to be doing. And that was kind of an undertone of a lot of conversations and a lot of like guidance that I would be getting from people that didn't look like me.
Did you know what was happening at the time, or looking back, was it in hindsight? Because I feel like, as a young woman growing up, I was not aware of the racism that I was facing at such a young age. I was only aware of the fact that I wasn't listening to it.
Right.
And it didn't apply to me. And those limitations that people were placing on me were not my destiny. I'm like, no, that's not my trajectory. That's not where I'm going.
Yeah.
But I didn't necessarily understand why.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was racism. I remember like being very upset about it, but I thought it was because I wasn't good enough.
Right.
So I recognized it came through as like something for me that I was insecure about, as opposed to like, oh wow, like, you're really being really racist, or like that's very classist, or whatever, that it really was. But I just thought like, oh, I'm not good enough. And and when we talk about working and not being able to rest, it's like, oh, and when you feel like you're not good enough, then you're like, I gotta really throw it in overdrive.
Yes.
And so that's how I was receiving that stuff. Like as an adult, and I look back, I'm like, no, that was definitely racism. But then I didn't realize it.
Do you feel like you share that with a lot of the guests that come to the brunches? Is that something that resonates with them as well? And more importantly, how do you curate the guests? Is it per event? What's the deal?
Yeah, I feel like I do meet a lot of people that have had similar experiences. A lot of the guests that come are, excellent. And they're doing incredible things in their respective fields and places. And some of that has come from like, that being insecure, not feeling like they were good enough, or being told that they weren't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as like how I curate the guest list, I'm very intentional about that.
Mm.
I like to get people in the room that uh, are excelling,
Mm-hmm.
that are the example of excellence, that that show up in the world in a way that makes you like just step back and be like, I'm really proud of you. I really love what you're doing. And then you just admire them. And then I'm intentional about like bringing a mix of people together. Like I don't want all people from this industry or all people from that background. I'm very intentional about how I can bring people together that might not know each other, or might not have connected before, or might not get a chance to be in the same room or sit at the same table.
Yes.
So those things play a factor for me. And then I have a lot of themes, right? Like within Black Excellence Brunch, as we've grown, like I'll go into themes. So I'll do like, I've done like Mother's Day themes,
Yeah,
and I've
let's
invited
go.
all
Let's
mothers.
talk about those receipts, because you've put on some wicked events
Oh,
recently.
thank
The
you.
Color Purple.
Yeah,
Let's go
yeah,
through
yeah.
them. Come on, we're talking about Black Excellence. Talk to me about the Color Purple event, because it was a screening beforehand and then dinner.
We did a screening at the Academy, which was great. Like walking in there, like seeing the big Oscar, and it was really beautiful. But I was
Dope.
intentional about that too, because I wanted people to see, like, if you can envision it, then it can materialize in your real life. Like,
100%,
right?
absolutely.
And that has been my experience. So I wanted people to be able to walk down the hall and see and touch and feel, and know that they're worthy to be in a space like that, right? And yeah, so we screened it first, and then we celebrated at the Black Excellence Brunch, and we brought the cast, the leading ladies, as well as the director. So we had Taraji and Fantasia and Danielle, and then Blitz, who is the incredible director behind the film.
Brilliant.
So, and we just celebrated. It was like Essence. If anybody gets a chance, Essence did an incredible article just talking about like bringing Sunday dinner to Hollywood, and I thought it was so beautifully written by Dominique. Shout out to Dominique. But we just had a beautiful time. Like, it was celebratory. But I tell everybody, Black Excellence Brunch is a sacred space, and you won't understand that
Yes.
until you're actually physically in the room. But I'm telling you, you leave changed. And that's often my prayer and my intention when I go into it. I'm just like, I want to re-energize people. I want to like encourage them. I want to inspire them. I want them to leave that space feeling more whole. And yeah, that happens a lot.
One of the things you said in Forbes was you don't want people to have to lift a finger on that day. And what does that mean to you? Like, I feel like you've almost stepped into your mother's shoes in that sense. Like, this is now your living room.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I read it, and you were like, I'll go around and, pick up the knives and forks if I have to. Like, what does that mean to you to like be like, no, you put your feet up. This today is about celebrating you and thanking those people in our industry, in various industries, for the joy that they bring to the big screen, to the boardroom. Like, what does that give you inside, that feeling?
It really brings me so much joy. I'm a Virgo. I don't care. I don't know if people follow like the signs, but like we're very much a sign of service, right? Like Mother Teresa, like the type of the signs. But I embody that in a way that it brings me so much joy to bring joy to other people. And also I think about my grandmother, I think about my mother, I think about my father, I think about the Black people in my lives that didn't get that rest, that didn't get that love, that didn't often feel celebrated. I can't remember the times, even I think back as a kid, and I can't even remember the times I saw people thank my mom for the things that she was doing. I can't remember a lot of that happening. And I was watching her, go to work and then, provide for us and then, go to church and pour into that and then volunteer. And like, I was watching my mother do all of these things. And I can't remember like seeing her like really being able to sit down and be like, I don't remember a lot of those times. And so I think about like, how can I make sure that people who are likely going through their lives the same kind of way, having to do that, how can I make sure that they get that moment?
And let's talk about how structurally and operationally you achieve that. Because a lot of the time you partner with big brands. And I was reading that, these are brands that the Black community absolutely loves. And we pour dollars and, billions and millions of dollars into these brands every day. And as a result, you've managed to get some of the biggest brands, corporate brands, to help back and fund and pay for these brunches so that they can exist. Now, talk to me about that. Was that a hard thing for you to do? Is it now just literally like, okay, who's up next? You know what I mean? Are people banging down the door now? Because I imagine having started it in 2017, we're now in 2024. Like, talk to me about that process.
When I first started this, I paid for it. I funded it myself. The first one, I totally funded it myself. I emptied almost my savings, and I was just like, I'm going to do this. And the next one literally was supported and sponsored by Netflix, which was huge. But I set the intention. I think intention setting, and I'll probably say this 5 more times, but intention setting is really important. And I set the intention that I wanted to do this for people, and I didn't want them to have to worry about having to pay for anything. I didn't want them to have to worry about any of that. So I always, in my mind, there was never an option to do this without it being supported in a major way by like brands. And I thought about brands because, you mentioned a little before that a lot of these brands, think about a Nike who has been an incredible supporter and sponsor of Black excellence. Nike wouldn't exist in the way that people know it had it not been for the Black community.
Yeah, absolutely.
So why wouldn't you, as Nike, as X brand, why wouldn't you want to share and space with and celebrate and love on these people who make it so the lights come on in the buildings that you work in, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? So to me, I thought like I'm doing the brands a favor. I'm giving you an opportunity to like show love to people. I've created the space for you to like give back.
I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, Trell. Like, I just think that, being able to bridge that gap, and also in a way that people want it. I feel like nowadays, a lot of the time, brands are always, doing activations. Like, we're going to activate this space. But somehow it just misses the mark. And there's a lack of connection because they're kind of activating from what they're meeting people. They want people to meet them where they're at. We want to activate this space and we want to show off this shoe or we want to show off this movie, as opposed to, no, here's the budget. You determine how your community need this to be received.
Yep.
Here's the budget so that you can meet them where they're at. And that level of ownership that you've created and must be so empowering, is it not? Like the fact that you kind of get to decide, like, how do you decide what goes in, the vendors and things like that?
Yeah. Like when I tell you, it is very empowering. It's very empowering. It's very exciting. And it gives me like hope, right? That like, okay, you see the importance of this community so much so that you're like willing to literally put your money where your mouth is, right? And even, the people that I hire, the vendors, I hire Black owned. I make sure to do that because I want to pour back into the community, and I want to show like at every level, this is not just the attendees like Nike or whoever. When you're supporting this, you're not just supporting the people that are sitting and eating the food, but you're supporting the people who are making the food, who are doing the audio and the visuals, who are like putting in the lighting. You know what I mean? You're supporting all of these people, and I feel like that's important, and I wanted to do everything that I could to be not only intentional, but impactful. I want these brunches to be impactful from start to finish.
Trell, with regards to the Black Excellence Brunch, has there been one memory, like one moment, one conversation that you've had that has just been transforming to you?
Something that has started happening recently is people have been like taking the time to pour back into me. Like, the event for me is all about, like, and I get so much joy out of, like, giving to other people. But there have been, like, some moments, like, this past one, the Color Purple one that we were talking about earlier, where Danielle Brooks, she's from South Carolina as well. And she had mentioned to me when she first came in, she was like, I'm so happy to meet you. You're from South Carolina. I'm so proud of what you're doing. But then she took the time on stage. I always ask people, what are you most proud of? Like, I'll ask that as like a ending question, because I want to know, like, besides the accolades, and what are they proud of in their lives? And I've gotten some incredible answers, and her answer was like, I'm proud of you. And she went into this whole reason why, and I was like,
Done.
Done. I was like, oh my gosh. And she did that, and Kelly Rowland also did that. And then within the same conversation with Danielle Brooks, we were talking about, like, Hollywood. And like, Hollywood can be very, high, low, like, weird sometimes. And Taraji was just talking about, like, Hollywood. She's been here for a long time. She was just talking about the ins and outs and the ups and downs of Hollywood. And then she was just talking about how Hollywood is often a place that people come to take. Not many people come to Hollywood to give. And she was just acknowledging, she was like, thank you for coming to Hollywood to give. And I just, that is a top tier compliment for me, because Taraji didn't know, but every place that I go in, I'm like, how can I make this place better? How can I leave it better than I found it? That's always been my motto. And so I never go to a table like, ooh, what can I eat off this table? What can I take from this table? But I'm always like, I'm not going to pull up to your table unless I got something to bring to it. And I was just, that sticks with me to this day. And I think for the rest of my life, it'll stick with me, because I felt seen.
Yes.
It's
affirming, isn't it?
Yeah, I felt like you really see me,
Now, the interesting thing you say, like, people are pouring back. But do you think that's a lot of what you do is in service of Black women and women? You know what I mean? Whenever I met Trell, the first time I met you, I was like,
nervous.
This guy gets it. Do you know what I mean? Gosh. There's not a toxic masculine, like, bone in your body. Like, yes, there's that grind. Yes, there's that hustle. But there's this really beautiful balance that you strike when you interact with people. But interesting, I think, do you think that there's an element when, you're giving back to a community, and obviously a community of women, where they're almost like sometimes reluctant to take it, and they then point the thing back at you? They're like, no, thank you for giving. And I feel like sometimes we as Black women are like, sometimes it's hard for us to fully let go and just be receiving of, being able to have someone cook for us. You know what I mean? It sometimes feels a little bit too good to be true, or a little bit fleeting. I feel like sometimes we can't fully switch off and enjoy that moment. Is that something you see at the brunch, or do people just let go completely and like, oh my God, kick the shoes off? Like, let me fill up my purse. Let me get a few more of these. You know what I mean?
Great. I just got a vision. I find that the space is such a safe space that I find a lot more that people are like, they're willing. They don't have their guards up.
Good.
So yeah, I find that that's a space where people feel, relaxed, and they feel like they can show up authentically, and they feel safe in that space. And when it comes to women, and particularly Black women, I'm so intentional about how I treat and show up for women, because Black women show up for everybody all the time, and over and over and over again. And, the compliment is often, oh, you're so strong.
Yes.
And like, why do Black women have to just be strong?
Yeah.
Like, why can't Black women be graceful and soft and all of these other things they embody? Because to show up the way that Black women show up, and the strength that you see, has to be backed by love, though. Yes. Right? Yeah. It has to be backed by compassion. It has to be backed by these soft things. Because why would you even care enough to do it if you didn't have those qualities, And so for me, I seek out and want to nurture those qualities as well.
Talking about nurturing, you've got an exciting project in the works with Tina Knowles, Miss Tina.
Yeah.
And it's actually pushing Black men to the forefront. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in 2022, yes, Profile of the Black Man is a 4-part docuseries that is on Discovery Plus, and it profiles Black men, and it follows like 4 stereotypes of Black men, and then it shows the Black men as the adverse of those stereotypes. So the one stereotype is like Black men are dangerous, but it shows like all of these compassionate and loving examples of Black men, and it also digs into like the history of that stereotype, debunks the stereotype, and then gives you an example of like Black men who are defying that stereotype. And I'm so proud of the project because it was birthed from watching. I was searching on TV. I had just watched this very traumatic documentary about a Black man, and I wanted to find something that was like a palate cleanser. I wanted to find something that like celebrated and loved on us, and I couldn't find it. And mentors have always told me, like, if you don't see it, then it's your responsibility to create it. And so that is what Profile of the Black Man is. Miss Tina really was such a big part of like bringing that to life, from encouraging me to like, she was one of the mentors that was like, hey, if you don't see it, create it. But also saying, you know what, like, I'm going to show up. I got these incredible ideas, and really fighting for me and so many people like behind the scenes and in the forefront. So yeah, and the producers and the director, it was just this just convergence of all of these people pouring love into a project that really has the ability to heal and impact.
Trell, you are busy. Founder of Black Excellence Brunch, exec producer on that?
Yeah, executive producer.
And also co-founder of My PR is Black with
Yeah,
Yvette
my
Nicole.
publicist is Black, yeah.
Right, Yvette Nicole Shure. You are busy. Like, what do you do for rest? When do you find time?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right. I was telling you before the camera started rolling that today was one of those days where I really had to like be like, oh, I'm a little bit tired today. And being an entrepreneur is different, right? Because you like literally, you have to create all your opportunities. So that can be a lot. But for me, for rest, I do things that I love that allow me to like shut all the things off, right? So I love baths. And I didn't even know, but I will.
I love a bubble bath too.
So, and I make it an occasion.
Oh my
I'll
gosh.
light the incense. I turn the lights off. I put candles up. I have like the right kind of music. I have a bath bomb. Like I really make it a thing.
That was the thing that annoys me about where we live. There's no bath.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Carry on. What music you playing?
A lot of times it's Lauryn Hill.
Oh.
I love Lauryn Hill.
The Miseducation.
The Miseducation of Lauryn
Play that
Hill.
all the way through.
Her Unplugged album lives rent free in my head. I'll play like a lot of 90s stuff. I love 90s R&B. So, you got Aaliyah, you got D'Angelo, you got, all of those kind of like sounds. And sometimes I'll use it to play like a new album, or because I'm sitting and I have the ability to just listen to it. So
what are you playing? What new album?
I'm playing Cowboy Carter.
I knew.
You know that.
That's so funny.
Beyonce has this all-in-out Western era, and I'm here for it. So yeah, the baths. Another thing that I really love is hikes. I have in my phone like a note full of like different hikes in LA. If you want it, I'll give it to you. It's so good.
Please share so that I can share with the Slay community as well.
It's so good. I've been to all of them. They're tried and true. So I go on like hikes.
Will you let me take you on one?
Yes,
absolutely. Have you been outside of LA for a hike? Like outside of Runyon, all that stuff?
Not.
I'm talking real mountains.
No, not real mountains. No.
Okay, will you let me take you on one?
Yes,
Deal.
please. Okay, I'll hold you to it.
Yeah.
And I also like, I am a type of person where I I love, if I weren't doing any of the things, like maybe in a couple lives, I was like a stylist or something like that. I love style.
For
I'm not
real.
necessarily fashion because I'm not into like all of the name brands, but I love style. And so sometimes I put together like outfits for my friends, my family members, and I love doing it. Sometimes I'll just go to the store and like I'll put together different outfits and I'll leave.
I love it. I love it. That honestly to me is like a really therapeutic Sunday. Like this week I took Eric, we went to the Grove and I was like, we got a wedding coming up. And I'm like, it's in 2 weeks away. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to shop the week before. Let me make sure that we've done this well in advance and that he gets that time so that we don't have to stress about the wedding. But next time I know I'll just call you.
Yeah, I'm there.
Oh, I love that. Now, Trell, your background is in communications and PR. You were an assistant to the communications director on the Obama campaign. Shut the front door, Trell.
Yeah.
We're not leaving this, lock the door until we've spoken about this. How was that? Like, what a time to be alive.
Life-changing. I was fresh out of college. I didn't know what I was doing. And that was the beautiful thing about the Obama campaign in 2008, right? It was all of these young people that just were like motivated by passion. And that was the energy of it. And, I think that campaign was so successful because they trusted young voices and they trusted like people like me who were figuring it out, but it was life-changing. I am a little bit of the backstory behind like even how I ended up there is I'm in a fraternity, Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated, and we were like stepping. I was a step master, and so he was coming to do like a stump speech in South Carolina, and we were stepping. We were like the pre-act or whatever. So we were stepping, and then they said, if you guys want to stay, you can stay, and then you can meet him afterward. And I drove, so I was like, hey guys, we're staying.
Yeah.
So we stayed, listened to him speak, captivating speech. Met him. It was like having a conversation with your uncle, your favorite uncle. And I just like, I got to do anything that I can to make sure that this Black amazing man becomes our next president. And that was my energy. And, that led me to actually manifesting a opportunity on the campaign, which changed my life.
Wow.
It was not only because he became the first Black president and because the campaign was so historic, but because it was the first risk that I had taken, a big risk. I had just gotten a job at NBC, which is, I was working at NBC headquarters in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was interning. I interned back when interns weren't getting paid to intern. Right,
got you.
So I was interning, and I finally gotten the job. It was like, yeah, I crossed the finish line, and then I got this opportunity, and I was at a crossroad.
Yep.
And I decided to tell my supervisor, hey, I have this opportunity. When everybody was like, Trell, that's so crazy. It's like, career suicide. And I did it. And I followed my intuition. And she told me that if I wanted to come back, I could have my job back. And so I took this big leap. And I went and it was the first of many that I would take after that. But I think had I not taken that one, then I don't know that I'd even be sitting across from you today talking about like, with you having any interest in talking about my life.
I've got absolute goosebumps. But it just reminds me of, it's like they say a bird, that jumps doesn't have faith in the branch that it's standing on. It has faith in its wings.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. So tell us something about Barack that we don't know without committing treason.
He is hilarious. Well, maybe you know that, but he's so funny.
I mean, witty as hell.
Yes, he's so funny. And like, you see the stuff. Sometimes people might see speeches or see conversation and they're like, oh, that's for cameras. But he's really like a funny, fun person.
Yeah.
So yeah, and he's that cool, like really that cool.
Do you know who I'd like to see do stand-up? Barack and Jay-Z. Because I feel like Jay has that same kind of energy.
That same
he's
kind
always
of like
witty.
wittiness.
He's always,
yeah.
And also appreciates the wittiness when it comes out of you as well. Those two in like collab with one another.
You might have come up with something there.
Exactly. Let's make that happen.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock, Kevin Hart, Jay and Barack. Let's go.
Done.
Superstars. I love it. Trell, we're going to finish now with a quick game.
Okay.
In fact, here's a question for you before we wrap up, because this is something I want to know. Black Excellence Brunch 10 years from now, what does it look like?
It looks like I get so many people that send me messages about like, oh, I want to be there. They might be like in Alabama or someplace where Black Excellence Brunch hasn't necessarily been, or that we have like plans to like necessarily go to. So 10 years from now, I see like programming, like whether it be through docuseries, within those, like where people have access to Black Excellence Brunch that might not be able to attend in person. Some sort of like digital long form or short form content where people can have access to it. I see that being like a very successful thing.
Fuego. I love it. So, Trell, we're going to finish up now with, it's going to be kind of like a game, but it's going to be called shout outs. So I want you to think about, Black excellence in this town. And I'm going to give you 10, I'm going to ask you for your best recommendations. Now, one of them I think has possibly already come up, so that'll be easy. And I want you to be able to give a shout out to Black-owned businesses. Might be Black-owned, it might just be the best place that you love right now that you can think of at the top of your head. And it's basically going to be shout outs. Think about a person that's perhaps visiting LA for the first time, like the first time you came from South Carolina over to LA, the places that you would have wanted known about right off the bat.
Oh, sure.
Do you know what I mean? Okay.
This will be fun.
The hottest stuff in town.
From
Trell Thomas. Best clothing store.
Best clothing store in LA. I thought this would be easier. I really like Zara.
Yep.
I really like Zara.
Why so?
I like Zara because it's easy. I don't have to overcommit because, like I said, I'm in the style but not necessarily fashion. So I don't want to pay $2,000 for a jacket when I can get like a version of it from Zara, and then I don't have to commit to it for 5 years. Like, okay, I only paid X amount of money for this, so I'm cool if I only wear it twice.
I'm with you. I bought a couple dresses from there last year. I was like, easy, let's go. Okay. We're going to try and make these quick fire, if possible.
Okay.
But don't worry. Best album out right now.
Best album, Cowboy Carter.
Yeehaw!
Yeah, Cowboy Carter. Like, I have Yaya and 16 Carriages on like a loop in my mind.
16 Carriages.
Come on.
Honestly, in the gym, this is literally how it goes down. If we're not downstairs line dancing, then it's not a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
What are you doing?
Best coffee shop in LA.
Best coffee shop in LA? Hilltop.
Hilltop.
I love Hilltop.
They do some wicked events as well.
Yeah. Shout out to Issa Rae. Shout out to my fraternity brothers who are like co-owners of it. It's very special, and the food is also good.
Okay, check out Hilltop, everyone. Best burger joint.
So I'm vegetarian.
Oh!
So
best veggie burger.
Best veggie burger that I've had has to have come from, there's this place called Sun Cafe. It is in Burbank.
Okay.
Really good. It's vegan, but they have a amazing like quinoa black bean burger.
Shout out to our vegans. Best nightclub. Not that I've been to one in a while, but best nightclub.
Best nightclub? I don't even know.
What was the last one you went to?
I haven't been to a
nightclub.
You want to know
the last one I went to was Hyde.
Oh, right. Like, in Hollywood. Yeah. I don't know.
Last one.
Wait. There's one called like the Queensberry or something like that. I went to like an album release there, but I thought it was so cool. It has like disco balls all over the ceiling. It's in downtown.
Okay, good. Best market.
What is that? The Hollywood? What is the one that's right here?
Here?
Yeah,
I feel like that's a kind of lazy choice.
You don't like that one?
What about the one at Dodger Stadium? That big flea market, Dodger Stadium, once a month.
How about Melrose Trading Post?
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, or Black Flea. Black Flea is really cool too.
I love it. Best place to walk.
Best place to walk.
This could be one of your hikes.
Yeah, I like Point Doom. It's so beautiful. It's so soothing. Yeah, Point Doom is a great place to walk.
Oh, I love that. Best flower shop.
Best flower shop. You know, I just got put onto the flower market. It's not necessarily a flower shop,
Yep.
but it's downtown LA. It's in like the Santee Alley kind of area, but it's really cool. And I got some of the best plants. And I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's the shop. Maybe it's just where I am, but they're growing now. Like I've got a green thumb now, and I have to say, like all the plants that are really growing and thriving, I got from.
I'm sending my plants over for you because they are not doing good.
I'm great now.
Best photographer.
Best photographer, hands down. Between Kai Bird and Christopher McCormick, those are my photographers. Like go to. I use them for everything. The editing is top tier. They know lighting. I love them.
Love it. And then best attraction in LA.
Best attraction in LA. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say I like City Walk a lot. I like the Universal area. I enjoy it.
It's fun. I took my niece there. She loved it. She thought it was a wicked night out. And we went to watch the Barbie movie for like the 3rd time.
Oh, yeah?
It was nuts.
Yeah, I enjoy City Walk.
I love it.
Yeah.
Trell, thank you so much for
Thank you
slaying
for
with us.
having me.
One final question.
What's up?
What are you proud of?
I am proud of my ability to remain authentic in a world and specifically in a place like, Hollywood, LA, that will often try to tell you that you're not good enough. That what you are is not necessarily it. You should be more this or more that. I'm proud that every day I feel like I become more me. So people always talk about becoming something. I'm proud of the unbecoming that I've had to go through to show up authentically.
I love that.
Yeah.
Trell, thank you so much for slaying with us. You are a G. Continue to shine. We love
Oh
you.
my God, thank you. Anytime.
In summary, I remember a quote once that said, "There's virtue in work and there's virtue in rest. Use both and overlook neither." That concludes this episode of Slay. Stay tuned for more empowering discussions on female health, fitness, and life. You can follow me at Louise Hazel on social media, and you can follow Trell at Trell World. Check out the Slay brand at Slay Athletic, and don't forget to subscribe to the Slay podcast if you haven't done so already on Spotify, and leave us a review. And you can also get all of the tools and resources that we talk about on our podcast in the Slay app. You can download it now for free from the App Store and join our online community.